Hello, guys. This is Grandmaster Jerry Fasty Fonson again with another episode of MMA Power Talk, Sport Karate Illustrated, and the Dojine. Now, we're going way, way back to the early days before I could vote. That's right. This gentleman here, he's one of the best fighters of all time, point karate, traditional karate, probably in the street too, and kickboxing. And his instructor, rest in peace, oh my God, the greatest pound-for-pound fighter that I ever saw coming from New York City. Without further ado, my brother from another mother, Mr. Michael Sensei Shihan, not sure the proper title, but we'll find out, husbands. Are you there, sir?
Oh, I'm here, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty cool, man. I forgot to tell you guys, too, this guy's a laid-back, cool dude, too, and he would knock you out with any foot. Hey, sir, so listen, let's go back to the beginning. What was either your inspiration, desperation, or motivation to start in the martial arts? What year was it, and the style? And I'm going to put myself on mute so I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, actually, I went and I sneaked in the drive-in movie and saw a Bruce Lee movie. And that's what got me into karate.
You know, that guy is still living in so many of us. Now, what style was it?
I started doing Kyokushinkai, Masayama's karate.
And was that with Oliver as a senior and Tadashi Nakamura as the instructor, or was it somewhere else?
Actually, I started at a place in Massapequa, Long Island, Professor Higashi. He also has the Buddhist Academy in Manhattan. Wow.
So now, what year was this?
This was 1973, actually.
1973. Okay. So then, so you was living in Long Island, I would assume. And when was it that you made a transition to go into Manhattan and train? Because I know we spoke briefly about this whole thing.
Right.
And I want to make sure this is documented. Oh, by the way, so you know, this is the 300, which means that if I went to war and I only had an option to have 300 people worldwide on my army, you're one of those 300. So that's what this is about, sir.
I appreciate that, Jerry.
My pleasure.
When I was working out with Professor Higashi, I had gotten to yellow belt, and I guess he saw that I was improving a lot, so he told me it's better that I go to headquarters, which was in Manhattan, on 61 West 23rd Street.
And who was the instructor there?
The instructor there was Master Tadashi Nakamura and Shihan William Oliver.
Wow. So this is the predecessor to what ended up being Sado shortly after that, correct?
Exactly. I think when I went there, after 1 year, Master Tadashi Nakamura started his own system, which was Sado.
And it seemed like this is probably around the time okay, now, let's think about this now. The Fighting Back Teams was a movie documentary that had a bunch of people going overseas to fight. So
yeah,
this is probably just before that, correct?
No, this is actually after that. The Fighting Black Kings, I think that was 72.
Okay. I guess the movie came out afterward, obviously. They had a document.
Yes,
I saw it in 42nd Street.
yes, the Fighting Black Kings, yes.
Pretty incredible. That's when the United States were being represented by a bunch of people. Hey, let's just talk briefly about a person that you and I had a relationship with, obviously, but you had a special one, Shihan Oliver.
Yes. That was my mentor and my good friend.
Incredible as a competitor, as a person.
Oh, my God, yes. I mean, even to this day, there's so many good martial artists, but even up to the day, I would watch, after being in his presence for so long and going to so many tournaments and watching people, it's just the way that he did things and created stuff. I would watch him and still be in amaze after being with him for more than 15, 20 years.
Oliver was a special person. Mr. Keith Vitale just a few minutes ago was giving him his kudos for his due. So obviously did get a chance to compete against each other over at Madison Square Garden.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
At the Felt Forum PKA days.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to get down here to specific, because when it comes down to it, that whole group from, and not that you are, because you told me where you're from, but all those Jamaican, Japanese dudes from freaking Sato, led by Oliver, what the heck, man? Those kicks and punches, and I mean, not the only ones, because rest in peace, we also had another dude named Lincoln, but, you know, let's give some shout-outs to some of those people who came through that incredible operation. And you know, a lot of people may not realize whether it was kickboxing or karate or anywhere else.
Yeah, you know, that whole team that Master Tadashi Nakamura had was a couple of the guys from the other school in Connecticut. She and William Oliver. She and Charles Martin and Mr. Claude Battle. There was a whole group of them. The guys from Jamaica, Montauk Allen, he has a school in Brooklyn right now. Leroy Bennett. And there was a lot more of them. They went over to Japan, and, you know, we grew our inspiration along with she and Oliver from those guys. I mean, those guys were incredible. I
can imagine how workouts were. A lot harder than tournaments, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was actually Masayama's first World Open tournament, where they invited every system, Muay Thai, kick, any style was invited. And I guess every country had their tournament, and they sent, I guess, the 6 or 4 best people from that country. They all met in Japan.
And it is in a documentary called Fighting Black Kings that I saw on 42nd Street. But you know what? Even after that, when it went Sato, then we still talking about taking and making major impact with a bunch of other fighters. Let's give some shout out to some of those guys that were going to the tournaments in New York and New Jersey and abroad during the 1980s.
Yeah, well, you're one of them. Jerry Fassi, Fontenay, Mr. Errol Bennett, Robert Sugar Crossan, Abdul Mutaka Bear. We would all go to all those tournaments. I mean, had a lot of others, the names, you know. One of our good friend, Billy Beeson. As soon as you asked me, names just slipped out of my head.
Yeah, no. I hope you know. We had Sheldon Wilkins, there was Speedy Wilson, there was Michael Lookup Sled, right?
Yep. Oh my God, Mafia Holloway, the whole crew. I mean, you know, it was just so. It's incredible.
How time flies, right?
Man, it seems like yesterday.
Well,
Sam
that's
McGee,
exactly right. Sam McGee. How about I tell you this? I have a videotape on what is Dojine.com, which is Dojo in Hand. There's an app for it, too. If you have a Google account with a Droid, we have this as an app. I'm interviewing people, getting information, history, motivation, and so on and so forth. And what I tell people is that I'm a martial arts fan because that's what I am. And I had, was blessed to be able to participate with some of the most incredible martial artists of all time, even though 99.9% of the time I was scared to death because I was a young guy fighting some of these killers. But there's a video, 1985, and I'm fighting against Grandmaster Sam McGee, and it's on the Dojine site.
Yes, I think I was probably there for that, and I saw the video too. Yeah.
Well, he almost killed me that day because when he stopped, he barely missed by an inch.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
These are people that we have. I mean, they're gentlemen, no question about it, but they were dangerous and very scary to watch, and to fight against them was even scarier.
I remember going to New Rochelle. And that's when I had just gotten black belt, and I fought Mr. Ron Henderson.
Oh, guys, listen, this gentleman, Ron Henderson, rest in peace. He was an instructor of Louis Ruiz, one of the top rated fighters, and also kickboxing years after. And Ron Henderson, with all due respect, and you know me and my style, this guy was this fat old dude that fought with his hands down, and before you know it, he would be on you like white on white. He would do what was considered a blitz. Let's talk about that. That's a guy that nobody gives props to, and I love it.
Man, he beat me. Yeah. That was my first black belt tournament. I ended up in the finals at Tommy's in New Rochelle.
Tommy May.
Yes, Tommy May. And Ron Henderson beat me for the grand championship.
For the grand champion, wait a second. For you to fight and make it to the grand championship round, I can imagine who you had to beat for that to happen, because New York had its own little world of tournaments, and it started with the word hard, and it ended with the word core.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
I mean, we didn't even mention Billy Blanks, all of those. There's so many greats that used to come to all those tournaments.
All those guys are going to be in our Power Talks. You know why? Because you just mentioned them, and the ones who are blessed enough to still be alive, I am on them right now, thank God to Facebook, because as a fan, I really enjoyed it. But to be honest with you, as a competitor, watching them, holy smokes, I was scared.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, when you watch Billy Blanks, Sam McGee, and Mr. Harold Bennett, oh my God. I gained so much knowledge from watching all of those guys, when I was a brown belt going to the tournaments. You pick up a lot of stuff, man, and I think that's what inspired, all the fights.
Well, to this very day, the best fight that I had in terms of learning was when my jaw got broken by Billy Blanks, and because of that, my teeth were crooked. So every time I brush my teeth, which is pretty often, it reminds me, keep your mouth closed, breathe out your nose, and don't anticipate a technique. Just let it flow.
And I didn't mention Mr. Kevin Thompson.
Oh, man. I just interviewed one of his students, Al Mean Moore, which was one of his students. I interviewed him tonight, and he'll be up on the Dojine just like you. Yeah, New Jersey was in the house representing, no question about it. And there were some other guys from the Ninja Turtle system. They were called Andre Graham and Jesse Harris and Michael Moore and Powell, I should say, and a guy named Trent Norman. But then you also had guys like, predecessors to us, guys like Hawk Frazier, and also all those guys that came about from, oh my God, the list goes on and on and on.
Man, I still see, what's his name? I watch him, post some stuff. He's an older gentleman now. And I should never even forget the names, but there's so many of them.
Well, there was a guy named Ken Duala who changed his name to Abdulaziz, who's been around for a long time.
I remember watching Mr. Allah. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. So many freaking people, huh?
It had two twins that used to be with Mr. Fred Hamilton.
The Garris twins, Kerry and Kevin.
Yes.
There's a videotape of me fighting one of them in 1988. Dangerous. They also had a guy named Clifton Blair, whose nickname was Bogart.
We can't forget Mr. Louis Ruiz.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what I'm saying. Bad boy himself.
Derek Panzer.
Oh man. So listen, let's talk about this, okay? Let's just backtrack for a second. So you're doing traditional martial arts, Kyokushinkai, and then Seido, but then the world started to change, and the thing came in called full contact karate. How did you get into that, or kickboxing as it was known after?
I went to Gleason's, and I was working out. I started boxing, and then one day there was no one to spar at Gleason's, and that's when they were in Manhattan on 7th Avenue. And the coach took me to a place in Queens where Freddie Curratone was. And that's how I got into that. I went there to spar.
You talk about City Star Gym.
Yes.
City Star Gym. Okay, listen, sir, if you hear me, if for some reason you can't hear me, it's because I put myself on mute while you're speaking.
I hear you.
Okay, what I'm saying, I'll put myself on mute while you're speaking, but when you went to City Star Gym and Freddie Curritone, mention some of those people over there, because, by the way, 1985 in the video, the next one I'm going to post is me against one of the guys that might have been there named Tony Arnold.
Yes, who later on became my brother-in-law. He got married to my sister, my big sister.
Well, I didn't know. But one thing I knew was that he's from Trinidad. And another thing that I knew was that he was a Tongue Solo stylist, and he used to come down and work out with us in all places of Chinatown.
Yes, I actually met him right there at Freddie's gym. I met him. I met Bobby Beltran.
There was a young guy named Anthony Salerno that was there.
Anthony Salerno, Scott Ashley, the champ. He was the champ, too.
Hey, rest in peace to someone like Steve Valencia. I'm not sure if he trained there, but I know he was around.
Oh, my God. He passed away?
He passed away quite a while ago, but you know what? That's the guy that used to be one of my role models, because I was a Puerto Rican big dude knocking people out.
Let me tell you, I used to spar with him at Freddie's. I knew him very well. We used to spar. We were friends when I was at Freddie's, when I was at that gym in Queens. He used to always wear that red gi bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, these are people that are legendary.
Yeah, he was tall and lanky. Yes.
And could kick, huh?
Oh, my God. It's amazing. I mean, people just don't know the talent that New York has.
Well, this is the thing. My job today is to let them know the truth. The guy with the crooked tooth is letting them know, keeping it real. Now, sir, let's just talk about a little personal history. So you and I get a chance to spar the first time, and I almost crapped on myself, but you couldn't tell, because not only was I fighting the Sato fighter, I was fighting Oliver's top guy. And I believe...
You remember where?
I believe it was in Empire State or something within those lines.
It was at Joyce Santa Maria.
Empire State.
Yes.
And we had a conversation. Let's talk about that, because you mentioned something to me a few months ago that I did remember. I wasn't sure if you did.
Mm-hmm. And what was that?
Well, it was interesting because those of you who don't realize, the arsenal of techniques that were allowed was a complete different curriculum as compared to today. And one of the things that I was not paranoid from, but being a kicker, or at least trying to kick, I was a little scared of being swept. So when I fight Mr. Husbands, I know he can kick like a demon.
Yep.
I know he can punch like a demon. But I know he did not expect for me to sweep him.
I never expected it. Oh, that was amazing. And that was I've always heard about you, and that was the first time we met.
Yes, sir.
It was amazing.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because what happened and what was really interesting to me was that, I know when I came onto the scene, I was a little different from what most people were used to. Some people liked it. Most people didn't.
Right.
But what was the first time that you found out anything about me? Because I was just a big fan, spectating throughout all those years, and then all of a sudden, I became a father at age 17. So give me information on that. Plus, I was a lot younger than you guys.
Well, you were right up there with all of us from the day I fought you. We went back and forth, and you ended up winning. I think it was 3-2 on the point. But
the sweep was the thing that threw you off, right, sir?
Yeah, that was like, really? There's no way I expected that, because most people that do other styles don't do the sweeping. So I was there.
One of my things was always this, right? If I could outpunch the punches and outkick the kickers and sweep the sweepers, then it would surprise them. Because to me, that was like a challenge, like a major challenge, because I mean, the people who know how to sweep, they also know how not to get swept.
Right. But when you're not expecting it, it just takes your breath away. And it was it was a beautiful technique.
Well, I appreciate it. But I knew after that I was going to have to really start getting ready for that because.
Well, I think everyone, all the judges, everyone, they knew, and we all knew. I mean, we all know at that time we would fight each other hard, but then after that was over, that was it. We'd right back to saying hi, being friends. I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah, turning it on and off, but again, it was like being around a bunch of superheroes, and you're a mere mortal, and then you get an opportunity to go in there as a competitor, and you have to step up mentally, physically, otherwise they will take you out in a stretcher.
I mean, yeah.
If you were lucky.
You're talking about our weight class, the middleweight. Sometimes 10 fights. There was a lot of fights, even more sometimes.
Yeah, if you won 8 of them, you might have took third place.
Yeah, definitely.
But the people you was going to fight against, it was you know what? It seems like a lie to me. When I would look at the people. Yes.
Before you, I fought Toki Hill and I beat him, and then you got me. And you know how good he was. I was even shocked with myself too.
Incredible. And this is the point that we are all from an extended family called the martial arts, and we're as diverse and as dysfunctional as any real family. And as a spectator, we knew how to recognize the real. And there's so many people that have never had a mouthpiece, and my job is to make sure that they have their voice heard.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes, sir.
I was always the one that I didn't really like the limelight. I went to tournaments because I just enjoyed fighting.
Oh yeah, but it didn't matter. That didn't stop you from knocking people out with the kicks right to the face.
It was just something that I did. A lot of my school friends never knew until they saw me on ESPN. That's when they all knew.
Well, listen, that's obvious that you're one of those smooth cats, cool brothers. But if I'm around, I'm going to get anybody hyped up. I'm waking up the dead.
Yeah. And then later on, don't everybody forget, we were on that nightlife team together.
Well, this is it. In 1988, we had some workouts that were legendary, and then we had young guys like a Derek Panzer, we had Jonas Nunes and Tommy Chen, and Bobby Marrow, and Juggernaut Andre Richardson, and Billy Beeson, and Michael Husband, and oh my gosh, on and on and on.
Yes.
Again, this is the whole thing that was for the first time ever that New York, whether it was Long Island and all the 5 boroughs, actually came together to represent in a team, and it was pretty incredible to be in that workout room. There's a pretty legendary photo there, too, of exactly what we just mentioned.
And I just want to say one thing. If he's listening, Bobby Morrow, I forgot to wish you happy birthday. Happy birthday, my bro. Belated birthday.
Well, you know what? Happy birthday to Bobby. Hey, because of Facebook, we get an opportunity to still keep interconnected with these people.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a gentleman that you may know of or maybe worked out with, because I think he might be someone named Paul Williams that
Oh, yes. My dojo brother, Paul Williams, yes.
Yeah, my ribs still hurt.
and I don't know if you ever met Philip Tomlinson.
Of course, I not only not only do I remember, well, he pretty much he reminded me of Oliver, of course. But what was interesting too is that I remember when he became a TV newscaster too. I watched that also, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, man, yeah. We reached out and spoke to each other briefly on Facebook, and these are the people, including him, that I'm going to have on the talks because they got stories.
And just remember, our teammate, Derek Panzer, became the heavyweight title.
Multiple world kickboxing champion, multiple times. Yes. And even had students that did phenomenal. Hey, how about I tell you this? I just finished having a power talk with a gentleman that literally came from Kung Fu, and his students are still doing phenomenal, and that's Moses Arocho.
Oh, my God, yes. And you know who we didn't mention either? We didn't mention Zab Judah.
Oh, you know, that's a real funny story. Let's talk about that because this is what happened, right? Zab Judah, years after, of course, this is the father of the famous Yo Judah, I should say, is the father of Zab Judah. But Zab Judah was a student of mine in the Brooklyn school. His father, Yo Judah, who fought against Mr. himself, Paul Vizio.
Mr. Vizio, yes.
Holy smokes. Paul Vizio, Mr. Vizio Sifu, as we know him, who also trained with Toyotaro Miyazaki. A highlight reel or what? What are we talking about here? This guy was a highlight reel, huh? Vizio?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Hit you with 360-degree spinning hooks to the head in the last round just to prove a point.
Oh, my God. It's amazing.
All these people all came from the same area, and we are not even touching the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I mean, now from there, we would also go to events like the Battle of the Zodiacs with Master Fred Hamilton, where other people from other areas are coming down.
Oh, and I totally remember when I used to go, when I had just got black belt, when I used to go there, he used to have this decathlon.
Frankie Puello won the first one, I believe.
Yeah, I got third place.
That was Fred Miller, rest in peace, student.
Yes. Oh, it was amazing back then.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I remember one day, and it was pretty crazy to me. George Clayton Jr., George Clayton Jr. had a tournament called the Extravaganza, where he was giving away 7-foot trophies in just about every division. And Sheehan Oliver was fighting against the second half of SWAM, which was SW with Sheldon Wilkins. The second half was Abdul Matakabe. And Oliver swept Matakabe, who was only double his size, and proceeded to score him afterwards. But this was after he threw an axe kick. So what happened was that Oliver hit him in the axe kick, and then he slipped. When Oliver slipped, he took his leg out and then hit him with the axe from the floor, as if he was doing a bunkai for some self-defense at Madison Square Gardens, Oriental World of Self-Defense. Rest in peace to Grandmaster Aaron Banks.
Yeah, that was one. Mr. Matakabe is one of the guys, man. He was just big, strong, a lot of talent, man.
Scary.
Oh, my God.
He punched guys to the chest and made me cry.
Really disciplined.
Superheroes.
Yeah, really superheroes. Mr. George Creighton. Oh, my God. The whole works. I just spoke to Master Sugar Crossan. He moved not too far away from me. He moved to Tampa. And we spoke to each other about 4 or 5 days ago.
Well, you know what? He's a gentleman that I spent quite a bit of time with. And when him and I get together, watch out, because whether he's doing magic literally or telling jokes as often, but who has been out of, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him almost out of shape. I mean, when you're talking about Sugar Crossan, we're talking about how many fights of professional boxing was he in the corner?
Oh, my God. I've never seen him out of shape. I'm serious.
Ridiculous.
He's always at the top level.
This is a guy who, in recent years, has had some challenges, and and he's coming along pretty well with them in terms of physical challenges, as I say, medical challenges, and you could never tell his attitude and the demeanor and the smiles and the laughs and the energy. And for those of you who do not know, he is the forefather of what would be extreme forms. He would jump over judges and freaking make weapons and change his uniforms, and let's talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah, he's amazing. He is so amazing. And he still does that stuff today.
You can't put something in his hand because he starts spinning it and twisting it and inventing his own weapons. And again, martial arts is just such an incredible thing. If it wasn't for karate, I don't know what I ever would have done, because.
And I'm gonna call out somebody that and I know you know his name. He's a fireman in Jersey.
You talk about Thunderfoot Curitan, Larry Thunderfoot Curitan.
That's my boy.
That's right.
We came up together.
That's what I'm talking about. I remember there was a photo of me. Actually, I'm sure my mother still has it, which I'm going to try to take it away from her, at least get a copy of it, because him and I were ranked number 1 and number 2 in one of the most difficult regions, Region 11.
Right.
And the first time I defended my first grand champion, which was in 1984, I won my first grand champion in 1983 when I was 17 over here in New Jersey at Joe Versace's tournament at South Plainfield High School. But then I had to fight a superhero that day for grand champion named Reginald the Snake Good from the Turtle System. And that itself was scary because I had to fight 3 rounds. The following year, I had to fight Thunder for Curitan, not for 1, not for 2, but for 3 rounds too. I probably weighed 140 pounds, and this guy's arms were like freaking steel, like a kung fu movie.
Another guy that won a PK title was the champ for a long time, for a while.
I mean, this is a gentleman, too, that was in one of the original UFC fights back in the day.
Back in the day, yep. Yep.
Again, I don't know how I ever won one fight, let alone as fortunate enough to have a pretty high win ratio, because all those guys, to me, I was a normal human being. Those guys, they were scary.
Oh, you just don't give yourself the credit. You wasn't a normal person. You were just a superhero like the rest of them up there. Your name is legendary. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but all I could tell is for me how I was feeling. So this is what would happen. I would watch the fights and be like, "Oh my gosh!" But I had to make believe like I was okay. But in reality, inside my heart wanted to jump out. I had to use the bathroom, and I talked so much crap that I had to win.
Let me tell you, you were never alone. I was right there with you.
And that's really what it comes down to, guys. Those of you who are listening, listen, don't you think that when your heart starts to beat and you feel like fight, you have to fight, that's called adrenaline. That's what makes you into a human. That's the reason why you are courageous. Courageous doesn't mean the lack of fear. It's being afraid and still doing it. That's what bravery is about. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yep. And let me tell you something, man. That's what it is. And I take my hat off to anyone that goes through the training of martial arts, whether it be that, boxing, judo. It takes real courage to get in there.
It takes heart. And those people who do it on a consistent basis are separate breeds from the masses. And I absolutely am a fan. I don't care what style of martial arts it is. Are you kidding me? MMA, I love it. Taekwondo, beautiful. Tai Chi, okay. Kendo, all right.
Yeah, I love all the arts. I watch them. I get so excited when I see any of them. I just want to see it all the time. I literally, when I watch TV, I'm only scanning for whether it be MMA, boxing, glory, kickboxing, MMA, whatever it is.
Hey, you know what's so cool? I had an opportunity just like you know, to see all these different types of fighting. And then what happened was, it was crazy. I invented these uniforms, and the World Combat League that Chuck Norris started came out, and I was able to manufacture uniforms that all those top fighters like Raymond Daniels. Have you had a chance to see Raymond Daniels in glory? I mean, he just lost the title, but my gosh, highlight reel, huh?
I watched him doing the glory thing, and years ago he came to Florida, and me and him sparred at Mark Kern's gym in Longwood, Florida. So it was amazing to see years after I see this guy with all these highlight reels on off of the glory kickboxing. He's amazing.
And a nice young man.
Yeah. He was also on the team, the California team, with a friend of mine, Alicia Slick Ashley. She's actually the bantamweight champ, WBO, WBC bantamweight champion in boxing too. She won the title.
I remember that. I remember her fighting on the WCL team.
Right. Yes.
I mean, and that's the whole thing, that you got women, whether it was Jennifer Santiago, you know, who did the point karate and then the kickboxing and then into boxing also.
Yes, and we can't forget my friend Devon Cormack.
Oh wow! Holy smoke!
Which is Alicia's brother. That's her brother.
You know, I know they got the same hairstyle. You know, those two are phenomenal. But what I love about the brother is that he, just like Paul Vizio, seems like they're ageless.
Yes, he is. And right now he's got the #1 woman bantamweight boxer.
Wow. Again, if I remember correct, he was part of the Sato operation, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He used to one of the wives. Yeah.
And he was also a USKBA kickboxing champion during the days when Paul Rocker was around. Yep, and he also won a whole bunch of other ones. And that's the point where I believe strongly that martial arts in total does not matter what the rules are, because quality supersedes any rules. And a lot of people start to separate what would be true martial arts, which is an umbrella that has everything inside of it. Today, when people make a big thing about someone like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, which is incredible, in reality, he's doing a basic kick that we can go to many highlight reels that Michael Husbands was knocking people out with.
Jerry Fontenez, too. Don't forget that. Devon Cormack.
Yeah.
We could go down the list. Sam McGee.
Even guys like Lamar Thornton that came before us, man.
Yes. I mean, I should be punished for forgetting those guys' names. I mean, I don't forget the names, but it's just so many of them. Oh, my God.
Oh, well, this is the point. The ones who have been blessed to still be alive, I am on them. Trust me. They have no choice but to share the truth. And the truth is that they're legends and pioneers, and I'm a fan.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that everyone...
I'm a big fan of all of this. Sam McGee, Jerry Fontenez, Billy Beeson. I mean, these are people I grew up with, going to tournaments, watching.
Hey, you had Bennett himself had an army. Whether it was Lee Smith or Joaquin Smith, Paul Ferguson, Mr. Your Sequence himself, man, these dudes were like, oh man, it's I don't know how. Honestly,
they all just followed after the master, Mr. Errol Bennett.
Snowball, remember this? I mean, all these dudes, so many people. How was it possible in one tournament to have that many people so diverse to take third place? You were incredible.
New York, oh my God.
Then there are those guys before us, like,
you know, I just want to say, we used to go over to Jersey, Pennsylvania. I remember going to Mr. Gary Alexander's tournament.
Woo! I'm actually going to go compete in his tournament this year. How's that?
Oh my God!
I'm gonna go. And this is what's so funny. Do you know that I had a conversation with Jesse Thornton, one of the top fighters of all time in point karate from Georgia, the number one lightweight back in 1981 nationally.
Right.
And a guy named Howard Chung, which is John Chung's older brother. And do you know these guys, they both thought I was older than them? And I said, but wait a minute, what do you mean? Why would you think I'm older than you? And one of the compliments was that, well, at least that Jesse Thornton said, was because that I always had a lot of knowledge, so he thought I was older. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to be 50 this January. So when I think about my peers, the majority of my peers are in their late 50s, mid to late 50s, and early 60s.
Right.
And that blows me away.
I'll be 59 in November.
So that's an example, and you was one of the young guys, right?
Yeah.
and that's what I'm talking about. So again, when I think about that I was able to compete with any of these people, I'm not trying to be humble here. I'm just trying to be honest. On the average, I was 10 years younger. I was smaller, and I was scared, and I didn't have the army or crew or posse or school that most did. I had to create my own group.
even watching Mr. Bill Wallace, I had the pleasure of watching him when I started coming up. He was on his way out at the PK, and then I met him.
How about Jeff Smith?
Oh my God! I met Mr. Wallace in Florida, and he actually gave me a couple of tips. We did a little spot. This man was about in his 70s, late 70s, and that man can still kick like you saw him kicking on that television.
Hey, listen, I'm
going
to be interviewing Super for himself, and in addition to that, the DC Bomber Jeff Smith.
Oh my God!
And the rest of these guys, yes sir.
We didn't mention guys like Mike Warren.
Oh, I'm gonna get him too, and Albert Cheeks.
Yep, Albert Cheeks. Oh my God!
See, now we're going to the All-Americans now. Now we're going back to the 1970s. You know, where you had guys like even Roy Buchanan. You had guys like Jerry Robbins.
Mhm. Oh, I saw him and Mr. Bennett go at it in Jersey. Oh,
Jerry Robbins was, to me, the best kicking heavyweight or super heavyweight because this guy got really heavy, and he still fought like a ballerina in terms of speed and flexibility.
I could kick just as good as William Oliver.
And in the meantime, he was weighing in the high 200s and even low 300s at one point.
That's what was so amazing about it. He would skip around on that leg and smack you anywhere he wanted to.
All of these people were in the same place. Now, trivia question here, guys. 1974, Byung Yu versus a young Shihan Oliver 2 years after he went to Japan, jumping back kicking, his teeth got knocked. Byung Yu.
Mm-hmm.
All-Americans. Ron Van Cleef.
Yep. Oh, that's another great one. Mr. Ron Van Cleef.
Oh, and it was crazy because even someone like Time Out, the Last Dragon, was competing with us too.
Yes, and we can't forget the Rene brothers.
Oh my gosh! I think they might be down there. One of them is down in Florida, I think now, because a lot of people went down.
I hang out with one of them.
Yeah, I believe that will be Pierre.
I hang out with Pierre's here too, and so is Robert, his younger brother.
Again, what we're talking about is layers upon layers upon layers. Now, how about this? When we had a conversation today with a gentleman from upstate New York named Greg Tierney, he used to throw the Empire Open. He mentioned coming down in 1967 to go compete, and he went to a tournament at, well, obviously, it was the All-Americans, and he mentioned a whole group of guys who are obviously predecessors to us from the Tongue Dojo.
Oh my God! Yep.
We're talking about Alex +1, the Wilder twins, Hawk Frazier, and Thomas Carroll / LaPuppet.
Oh my God! I had the pleasure of when him and Mr. The Jewish gentleman,
Alex +1, Alex Sternberg.
+1. They were trying to get karate into the Olympics. And
that's right. AAU days. Those are the AAU days.
I made the team.
Wow. And Phil McRae, Speedy Wilson, Michael Sledge.
And I had the pleasure of working with Mr. LaPuppet, coaching us.
Billy Blanks, Toki Hill, a gentleman named Ferguson, I think, from Ken Ferguson, I believe, from Ohio.
I remember, yep. Oh, my God.
And then there was students from a guy from Connecticut named Chuck Merriman, who also had Alberto Peña, Domingo Llanos.
Oh, my God.
Domingo Llanos would do a Japanese form. His form was better than the Japanese.
And don't forget, what's his name that used to come down from Canada and do kata.
Well, so Canadians had a whole bunch, whether it was Jean Fournette or Bill Pickles or a whole bunch of guys that, again.
Fournette, that's who I'm talking
And then we have Cesar Barkowski. These are people who were, again, they're on my list, buddy. I'm going to get them.
We can't forget our girl from Texas.
Linda Denley, the greatest of all time, won more than anybody. Arlene Lehman, they're on my list, buddy.
And don't forget the one that Catherine Rockrock, she was in our group too. Yep.
You got Cynthia Rothrock and also Benson Lee. They were doing the kung fu. Come on.
Tommy Chin, the whole crew.
Tommy Chin, who's still a good friend of mine. Freddie Lopez, that whole group of people. Freddie.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Skinny and young Jonas Nunez.
Man, wait
a minute.
The Nunez brothers, oh, my God, yes.
And how about Wildcat Molina?
What? Oh, that's a legend. That's a real legend right there, Wildcat Molina. I used to watch that, man. Him and Al Benny I used to go tournaments and them two, man. I mean, one ring, another ring, and they were
Fred Miller, Wildcat Molina, Earl Ben.
I had the pleasure of watching him too, Mr. Fred Miller. Oh my God.
I fought him one time, and again I beat him, and you know it wasn't anything but fear. It was that T. Dawes tournament.
That nervous twitch.
You know that, but it was a double-edged sword because one part was like I don't want them to whip my butt. The other part was if I lose, my mom's gonna whip my butt. It's like
right.
Anyway you put it, you can't win. Again, guys, all of this is, and I want whoever's listening to this to really understand. You guys made a difference in our life. And if it wasn't for you guys, I don't know where I would have been. And
I haven't seen the coaches of our nightlife team.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I haven't seen them since because, I moved to Orlando, Florida, and I don't really go up to New York that much.
Well, we're going to have to put together a tribute because obviously more than two people could have been on this phone call right now. And maybe we could put together with Andre Juggernaut Richardson and a whole bunch of other people that are still around.
That's another. Yep. Oh my God. I watch. I follow everybody. I don't say much, but I follow everyone on Facebook. I see what they're posting, what they're doing, and it's a pleasure. That Facebook keeps us in touch. Yeah.
Amen to Facebook. There's no question about it. How about if I tell you that I have a commitment from a gentleman who really was at another level way before us. He was named La Pantera or Charlie Bonet. The gentleman that was the Black Dragon and the Yellow Panther himself, the instructor of another phenomenal fighter named Felix Luis Fernandez.
Oh, my God.
Showing root.
Yes, exactly. Oh. And don't forget all the ladies like Joy Santa Maria, all of them.
Oh, my, are you kidding me? Whether it's Joy Santa Maria, Lisa Robinson, Angela Lumpkin, there were so many people. You know, one of my students was Nicole Quest. She did really well. Toni Morrison, which I was the
right.
also came from.
Oh, my God, Toni Morrison. That's another legend in our time. And do you remember the people there were some people, I think they were from Jersey, the BKGs?
Oh, my, are you kidding me? I'm literally still, you're talking about rest in peace, Mr. Master Fred Henry and all of his students, layers upon layers. How about if I tell you that when you go to Dojine, there's a gentleman by the name of John Willis, and John Willis is one of the descendants of BKG. Just yesterday, he invited me to his party, and we had a battle. You know what I'm saying? I had a b-boy battle over there because they try to test my skills as a dancer. But this is what I'm saying. I live in Jersey, so I get an opportunity to still break bread with some of these people. But I have seminars set up in New York, New Jersey, and also in Connecticut for the time being. I'm going to get one in Pennsylvania lined up, and then I want to go down in the wintertime. My son lives in the Tampa area, so I want to go hit Tampa, Orlando, and a few different places like that, because even though I'm a New Yorker, when you talk about Florida, there was a guy by the name of Tony Palmore, James Sisko.
Oh, you know, funny you said that. About 2 years ago, my friend has a school down in Miami, and he had a little karate get-together. Mr. Palmore was there. And he's from Haiti, the other PKA, and he also became the boxing light heavyweight champion of the world.
I think you're talking about Orlando, the Warrior Rivera.
I'm talking, not him. I'm talking, I was about to mention him, and Henry Nieves, those.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That Orlando Rivera, PKA champ, too. Oh, my God.
Hey, how about Herb Thompson, who's the instructor of Tony Palmore?
Yes, exactly.
These were Nisei Go-Ju students of Mr. Ruiz, rest in peace, when he relocated. And I think you must have been also training in City Star Gym with his son, Troy Ruiz.
Yes. Oh, my God. Yes, Troy. I follow him on Facebook. Mr. Ruiz, rest in peace. Wow.
Hey, all those people that I just mentioned and a few that I would have to jog my memory to get. Oh, when you mentioned ladies, I remember Sheila High, was Speedy Leacock student, also for the Tongue Dojo.
Okay, yes, Mr. George Cofield himself.
That's the entire, I shouldn't say the entire, because there's so many other people that came from over there. And then you had guys like Huey Camberlin that was coming from Kung Fu. You know, you know what?
Yeah.
Paying homage to these people is something that's great, that the majority is still alive, and that's what I want to be able to do, talk about stories and let them know that we appreciate them.
I had the pleasure of watching Mr. Teaser Cassell. That's another.
Well, you know what? He's a very good friend of mine. If you go to, again, over at Dojine.com, you know, Mr. Tayari Cassell literally still has the same energy of a teenager, looks about the same, and he was one of the first people ever not only to fight from the ground, but fight from the ground against someone like Benny Akitas. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
And how about Little John Davis?
Little John Davis, oh my God. You know, I still remember Mr. Cassell coming to our tournament and me amazed at watching him do kata.
Ridiculous. Fighting, forms, weapons, kata, it didn't matter, doesn't matter. He can still do it all. Yes. I just can't believe that I know the guy. You know, I because again, reading the magazines and just being a fan, going over, you know, to 42nd Street.
You know what's funny? A lot of the guys where I go to and I help out with the boxing class, they'll see like my friend Devin Cormack, and they'll see him. He has the #1 woman, the champ, Heather the Heat Hardley at Gleason's. And a lot of them, I'll say, well, I know those people, and they'll tell me, yeah, right. Or I'll point to your picture in a karate magazine, and they'll say, yeah, right. I say, yeah, I came up with these guys. And I'm actually telling these guys, and they're laughing at me like, yeah, right, whatever.
Oh, that's funny. Well, this is the proof, right? Right here, we're dropping bombs and saying the truth, and this is what I'm talking about. There's enough phonies out there that are getting all these so-called Hall of Fames, and there's enough people that's done actually stuff, and we call this the Recognized Awards. Anybody who I'm interviewing, I'm recognizing as a pioneer and legend in the true school, not the old school. Not the new school, but the true school of martial arts. It doesn't matter, men, women, children. We are all part of the same real deal family. For those who don't know, man, they better recognize.
Oh, my God. I can't.
Victor Theriot is the promoter up there, Jean-Mi's brother, and quiet as is kept. Actually, it's not quiet because he's publicly shown it himself. George St. Pierre is a student of his privately at that TriStar gym as we speak right now.
Yeah, and you know, they both studied Kyokushinkai. You know that, George St.
Yes.
Pierre. And that guy was a wonder of the world in karate back in my days, Johnny Sterling.
Yep.
And
that was the Iceman, one of the two Icemen.
And also the great Don Wilson. I fought him up in Canada.
Yeah, wow.
And you know, years after I was in Florida here, maybe about 7 years ago, I met him at a tournament they were having in downtown Orlando, and he remembered. We hugged and we talked.
I remember when he beat, rest in peace, Mr. Steve Valencia for the kick championship over in the Garden too.
Yes.
I was right there. How about when Alvin Prowder came in with those glasses and his cape, the $1 Million Baby?
Alvin Prowder, boy. Oh, my God.
I had the opportunity to be on a team with him also.
Yes.
You know? I mean, and the gentleman who's still around who actually broke Mike Tyson's ribs as being his sparring partner, Demetrius Oaktree Edwards.
You know, that's so funny you say that. When I was doing the PK, I had the pleasure of sparring with him at that gym down on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn. You'd go down Atlantic Avenue and make the right and go down till you come to 4th Avenue. There was a gym down there.
But just looking at him, you wouldn't want to hit him. You would think you would break your hand because he looked like the Thing of the Fantastic Four.
Yes. I had the pleasure of working with him for a couple of rounds.
Hey, how about during the era, there was also boxers like Mark Breland?
Yeah. You know, when I used to be at Gleason, I had the pleasure of getting a good beating lesson from Mike McCallum. Mike the body snatcher.
Wow.
With him at Gleason. And when I was there, Camacho was there.
Rest in peace to him. Hey, you know what? When you say McCallum, we can't leave Ray McCallum out of the picture, huh?
No, another one, great one. I mean, we grew up watching. I grew up watching Joe Corley, Mike McCallum, Benny the Jet Euclides, the whole crew of them, Chuck Norris, all of them.
Yeah, Pat Johnson. Yeah.
One time we had this, when the teams were popular, but this was the kickboxing team. It had me, Orlando Rivera, Scott Ashley, Tony Arnold. You just mentioned his name from Harlem, my dojo brother. He was on the team with us for Nightlife.
Juggernaut?
Andre
Richardson?
He was on the team. We fought St. Louis, a team from St. Louis. Manson, Gibson, and they were undefeated. And we fought them at Madison Square Garden and gave them their first loss, the team from New York.
Wow. Even the Puppet had a kickboxing team. I think they were called the Puppets.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, this is the whole thing that people don't realize that, again, when there was traditional karate, point karate, kickboxing, Kitsugu, when we had a chance to see guys like Butch Bell versus Kasim Duval, and someone like Louis Neglia fighting at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Hey, we can go on for days, sir. You know what?
We can't talk enough about Mr. Joel Uter. That's another phenomenal guy.
Well, that alone, again, I had the pleasure of literally having a conversation with Mr. Judah. He called me. This was back in the early 90s. And he said to me, listen, I want the boys to come down and train. And since you're the best, I want them to come down to you. And I was like, wow. You know, because of course I was a fan of his. But for whatever it was worth, guys, the point fighters were making more money than some of the kickboxers because we could fight for $1,000 just about every weekend. And the kickboxers weren't only earning that type of money sometimes. And so there was a day that at the Ben's Galaxy of the Stars, Michael Husbands and Judah and Tony Arnold and a whole bunch of other people when they fought in the point tournament.
Definitely. Remember, I remember going to a tournament with Billy Blanks, the whole top of the echelon. We went to Bermuda. The prize was $5.
Oh my gosh, that was the Bermuda Invitational Grand. Was that the day when someone like Little John Davis knocked out Chris Papas with a spinning hook to the head? Or was it when Kevin Burton came from England and was blitzing people 100 miles and running? Or was it when one of the Deloach brothers, Randy Deloach, was fighting against Billy Banks or Nasty Anderson? Or was it when Jeff Smith came out of retirement to fight Billy?
Man, imagine all those guys, Nasty, a big star like Nasty Anderson, Billy Banks, were in our presence.
Scorpion Barrage.
Yeah. I mean, what more could we ask for?
I had an opportunity to go to that tournament in 1988. How did I get there? I fought and took my division in New York City. And what did you get? All expenses paid is what I earned. Not only did I go fly for free, eat for free, competed for free.
Yep.
It was like going to Hans Island and then to the Dragon.
Yes, definitely.
And people from all over the world.
I went to the first one they had. And then,
1985. That's when Randall Deloach fought against Billy Blank for the Grand Championship.
Yes, exactly.
Holy smokes.
And then, they had one in New York, right there in New York.
Well, that's where I won in New York in 87 was when right there at the Ramada Inn at LaGuardia. Yes. That's when I won my division. I actually, that day I had a fight with, and it's on video, with Anthony Price and the rest of the guys that used to be on the Budweiser team.
Anthony Price, is that the tall guy?
That's right.
Well, you know why he got in there. I got disqualified knocking him. I think.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
Hey, it wasn't intentional, but I got disqualified.
You can't block with your face. That's no good. Look at me. I could have been handsome. My damn teeth were all crooked because of that. I'm like Chinese math on my teeth, all crooked, hard. Anyway, so, sir, I want to be respectful of your time because when it's all said and done, I text you sent you a message to Facebook. Immediately you called me, and now I think hey, listen, I don't have to hang up, but I do want to be respectful of your time. I'm going to give you the microphone and say whatever you want, but what I can say is that I appreciate you, and this is a sincere pleasure. And I would just ask one more thing if possible. If in the future we can revisit this, so like that, in other words, do another one, because I'm sure there's a bunch of names after we hear this that we're going to be, oh, man, we forgot that person. So for whoever we forgot, guys, we apologize. I think we probably dropped more names than most people have in the last 15, if not 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think about what we're doing here, sir?
It gives me hope. It gives me hope that everyone that we grew up with, I know most of them are stars, they're known, but it gives the little guy like me that wasn't that known to get a little known.
Well, we give an opportunity to let people know the truth. You know, and again, being a fan of martial arts is all I am. Yes, I've been a participant. A lot of people say, hey, man, you should be interviewed. I mean, forget me. I'm only one of the many people, and I'm talking anyway, so I give a chance to give a little history. But when it's all said and done, it's about us. Some people say us or ush. I say it's us, U-S, us, all of us, on the same boat together. So I think maybe the way I would rather do it and say it is not with that pronunciation, but with the us, all of us. Teamwork makes the dream work. Together, everyone achieves more. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and I believe the best is yet to come. If we don't do this now by letting people know how much we appreciate them, we may have to do it at a funeral, and at that point, I don't think it's that good. I want to do it while they're alive. And I believe that within the next 10 years, God forbid, a lot of them won't be around. So I want to reach out and touch them right now and let them know, Mr. Husband, I appreciate you, and I love you, and this is what we're talking about. If you would just share this with as many people as possible, Dojine.com, learning things that actually work, recognizing the people who actually been there, done that, and should be known for those facts. And like you said, that we love.
I appreciate it, and a big oath to everyone who's listening, and oath to you, and thank you, my brother, for having me on.
You're very welcome. Hey, listen, all I ask you is this. Listen to these instructions. In the famous words of some crazy Puerto Rican from the Bronx, when I say A.B., Mr. Husbands, I want you to say, see ya. A.B.,